News with Gina.
The News with Gina Grad.
So this story out of CNN has really picked up some steam, but we don't have as many details as I would hope. A family of 6 was discovered inside a remote farm in the Netherlands where it's believed they lived in isolation for 9 years because apparently they thought the world had ended, or at least somebody told them that. The father and 5 children, ages 18 to 25, were found in this small village called Runerwold, but the sixth adult child had left, and he's the one who alerted the police. Although the village was just a few thousand residents, no one knew this family was there. There were a lot of security cameras everywhere. People would get close to it, see the cameras, get spooked, and leave. Police arrested a 58-year-old man who rented the property, apparently not the father. Authorities said they're still trying to determine the link between him and the family. They think they've all been sitting in this house since 2010. A statement said local police said they went to the family home after the eldest son, who just sort of wandered into a bar looking for help, said he was worried about his family's living conditions, seemed a little disoriented, asked for a beer. It's unclear whether they stayed there voluntary. Again, I heard reports they thought the world had ended. Aerial photos of the property show a very well-tended garden and a goat. So apparently they've been outside. They just have not been off the property.
From the mind of M. Night Shyamalan.
Right.
This is why I don't have a bunker. Because as a neurotic Jew, I'd see some Trump tweet or something, and I'd go down there, and no one
Never to be heard from again.
No, I wouldn't know when to come back up. I'd wait 9 years for sure.
If you had your goat and your tomatoes?
I'd be set. Did they not know?
It's kind of, it is, it's a little surprising as I think about it with the amount of humanity we have just in this country. You know, you hear about the occasional cult and the occasional group, you know, and the separatists, they're going to do their own thing, or Waco or something like that. But surprisingly little. I mean, most people just kind of get in line. You know what I mean? Like, go find an apartment, get a job, go Uber over there.
Integrate with
see if
society.
You can have sex with somebody.
Nivixum, that was a good one. Is that how you pronounce that?
Nexium?
Nexium.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's spelled like that, though.
Sorry.
Was that Ruby Ridge?
No, that was,
that was the sex
Rainier.
cult.
Yeah, the Rainier guy.
Yeah, you just say cult, we'll hear sex.
It is a sex cult, by the way. Yeah, it is a sex cult. They got branded.
It's surprising that there's just not, there's very little of that, if you think about it.
Yeah, and that's why they pop out, because was it last year, the House of Horrors house in California, close by? What was the name of that family? They had like 12 kids, and they were all chained to the wall in the basement their entire lives.
Yeah.
And the parents thankfully got convicted.
It's just weird when you have kids. Like, I get chaining them to the bed, but I chain them to the neighbor's bed. Get them the fuck out of my house. You know what I mean? The idea with they can never leave. I feel that way about the guys who have 5 wives. Like, really?
Oh, my God.
I feel like one's enough.
I would watch The Sopranos, and he would have a wife and like a girlfriend.
Is there a cult where I can just have like half a wife? I'm looking to downsize a little bit. I have 14 wives. Like, really?
Why?
It sounds like a lot of honeydews.
Do you remember all those birthdays and anniversaries? Like that?
And they get pissed.
Yeah, like I only screw up like twice a year. These guys are screwing up every second Friday, right? That's got to be rough.
Yep. So Helen Hunt is recovering.
It would be nice when they started fighting over you to like walk into the kitchen in your bathrobe with a boner and go, ladies, please, ladies.
Enough
please.
for everybody.
Do you think that would happen, though? They would just be agreeing on complaining about you.
No, they'd all be conspiring to poison my grape nuts. There's no doubt. They'd all decide that I was horrible.
You're not eating grape nuts, are you?
No.
Good.
Yeah.
Turpin. Thank you, Chris. The Turpin family. That was the one that got convicted. So Helen Hunt is recovering from an unfortunate car crash, and there is some footage of it. TMZ obtained the surveillance video. I'm going to show you in studio right here. The SUV limo that she was riding in the back of as a passenger got T-boned in L.A. in an intersection. You'll see it in a second. The impact flipped the vehicle on its side. Here it comes, and flip. Emergency personnel responded. She complained of a little pain. She was treated at Cedars. She was released. And by the way, you know what she's working on? Speaking of, we've been talking about a lot of reboots lately. Mad About You coming back. Paul Reiser.
Well, I'm a huge Helen Hunt fan.
Do you think only 2 of the people involved in that accident were texting, or do you think there were more?
It's possible. Even the bystanders.
My God.
I got to say that the folks that get T-boned, a little of that is on you because you have to know that everybody is just completely out of it. They're on prescription meds, they're texting, they're doing whatever. Yeah. And it's like, if the signal turns green and you dart out in the intersection, that didn't happen here. But what I'm saying, like, that does, and then someone else just blows through it, that's kind of on you. Like, you now have to kind of look because people are so far gone.
My first 2 months of driving a car, I got in like 3 accidents. And there weren't, I think one of them was my fault, but the other 2 weren't. But I wouldn't get in them now.
Right.
Like, I just didn't know what was going on. Like, yeah.
I was T-boned when I was working in Beverly Hills. I was T-boned through the intersection in Little Santa Monica, right there by Rodeo. Mm-hmm. And I got hit hard. And I had to go to, physical therapy and chiropractor and all this stuff. And the girl told her, she had to be my age or younger at the time. She told her lawyer that it wasn't her fault because she was crying while she was fighting with her boyfriend on the phone. So that's where we're at in terms of responsibility and accountability.
Yeah. Well, we wish her a speedy recovery. I don't know that we need the reboots of sitcoms.
Oh, it is raining reboots.
Yeah, now a fun thing that Kimmel did with the All in the Family and stuff, that's kind of fun.
That's like vintage.
Yeah, that's a little different than just we're going to do this
Cranking
again.
Out all of it.
Yeah.
Everything. Will and Grace and we have a list all the time. They're constantly coming back. Are you familiar with the boxer named Patrick Day? Young guy, so I don't know.
No.
Really sad. TMZ reports that he died, Patrick Day, Wednesday from brain injuries sustained during a violent knockout loss on Saturday. Oh. He was 27. He was knocked down 3 times, once in the 4th, once in the 8th, finally in the 10th. By
3 times, fool!
Thank you. 21-year-old rising star Charles Conwell during Saturday night's fight at the Wintrust Arena in Chicago. The final knockdown, particularly brutal, apparently. Day's head bounced off the canvas. The ref immediately stopped the fight. Medical personnel rushed into the ring. He was taken out in a stretcher, loaded into the ambulance, started having seizures. He fell into a coma. He underwent brain surgery, of course, emergency brain surgery. And Day fought for days, but ultimately succumbed to the brain injury. And in a statement I saw, it might have been his coach. Somebody said on his behalf, like, he always knew what the possibilities were. Like, he didn't go into this blind knowing this couldn't happen, but he loved to fight.
Yeah, well, he died doing what he loved, which always annoys me. But yeah, well, that just made me think of Ray Boom Boom Mancini. It was just in here.
That's right.
He killed the Korean fighter in the ring.
Dooku Kim.
Yeah, and then Dooku Kim's mom killed herself, and the ref killed himself. Shortly thereafter, or sometime after. It's got to be. This is weird. It's. I don't know if the mom killed herself because of that or why. I mean, it's always something else, and the ref as well. But it is a sad legacy.
Do you know much about boxers and how they deal with it if someone died, during or because of a fight they were in? I've always wondered that.
I think some people are never the same, and some just don't care.
Go full Drago.
They just keep going. Yeah, they go full Drago.
He dies.
Yeah, I don't think anyone wishes it upon anybody, but I don't know. I think it's like if you killed somebody with a gun, you would be deeply affected by that for a long period of time, and then sadly, many Americans wouldn't give 2 shits about it.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of a weird relationship, but you'd think there'd just be one reaction, but much like murder, it's unthinkable or it's a Tuesday. Just sort of depending on who you are.
If you think there's one reaction, you do not watch Dateline.
Oh, mother's nightmare.
There is a cornucopia of ways to react when you call 911 after a murder.
Yeah, I know. I like the... there seems to be a balance, because if you're not sufficiently upset, then they blame you. Yeah. Like, I went upstairs at halftime. My wife was in the bathtub face down.
Anyway,
I got to catch the rest of the Packers game. Then they go, he didn't sound upset at all. But if you go too hard, you'll be accused.
Protest too much.
Oh,
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
They don't like that.
So what advice do you give?
It's Tropic Thunder advice about full tard. You don't go full tard is really what it is. It's Robert Downey Jr.'s advice. You have to go a little bit. You appear to be stoic.
Yeah. Sprinkle in a little shock.
I learned this in acting class in 1987. Right? You try to keep it together, but
you struggle.
Don't go too casual. They hold that against you.
They'll look at that later.
What they don't realize is there's a lot of guys are just flatliners. Like my stepdad's just a flatliner.
Oh, so if he killed someone in the ring, you think he'd just walk away and kind of forget about
ring.
it?
If he called,
he didn't get out much.
If he called 911 to say there was a raccoon that was like on the roof of the house and it couldn't get down,
right?
That's my biological dad. Or he found my mom's dismembered body inside on the kitchen floor. He would sound the same.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of guys are flat. You know what I mean?
I aspire to be that. Yeah.
Dawson may be that guy. I don't know. Dawson, let's hear 2 examples. Raccoon on the roof and my wife is dismembered in the kitchen. Try to keep them both even. Yeah. Here we go. Pretend Vinny's sitting next to you, not judging. Hello, 911.
Yeah, my wife's in the kitchen with a raccoon.
I like a twofer like that.
Hey, you know what they told me when I was at the Groundlings? They're like, you got to take a class.
Don't deny the premise. Don't deny the premise.
Yes, and.
Go with it.
To be fair to Dawson, if we checked his blood right now, he'd be at like 2.7% taco. Like literally his blood, like you're not fit to drive.
I took Groundlings intro and they told me to take it again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that happens.
They do that.
They do that. They tend to get paid more money that way. But they're pretty intellectually honest. But you take the Groundlings. I mean, some of the Groundlings classes I took, there'd be like 16 people, and they're like, okay, 3 of you are moving on. Like, they don't go like, oh, everyone just push it on to the next thing.
Yeah.
They
You're all
go,
stars.
there's like, we'll give 3 of you the thumbs up, and the rest take it again.
Yeah. It's
not.
It's supposed to be brutal there.
It is. It
Yeah.
sucks. And then you're like, well, when's the next time I can take this class? And they're like, 19 months.
Yeah.
You're 25, and you're
Yeah.
like, I can't take it again. Well, one's not going to come up again for another. They're all booked up for over a year.
Yeah.
But go to Mindy Sterling's class at the church over there with the age ribbon on it. Go down to the basement and do that one for free. So I ended up taking more of those classes than I took Groundlings classes. Because they would always throw you a bone. Like they'd go, we get it. Like you're going to have to wait a year and a half between intermediate and writer's lab. But you can go take whatever her name's class is over at the Coronet Theater.
But that writer's lab's brutal, right? Like you have to write constantly and like
it's like
SNL.
The writer's lab is interesting because you have this thing where it's like, I'm going to write, and then I'm going to put it down, then I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to finish my thought, and I'm going to write, well, this is how you write, and then you go, I'm going to work it out or whatever. In the writer's lab, I was at the Groundlings Theater, because most of the stuff's like at churches and the Coronet Theater and whatever, but that happened to be at the writers at the Groundlings, and you're just sitting in the audience, there's 18 of you. And they're like, okay, I remember it was Cynthia Seghetti. She'd be like, you are talking to somebody, you're going to do a monologue, and you're talking to someone through glass. Then you're on one side of the glass, they're on the other side of the glass, and you have 15 minutes. So work it out. And then she'd leave, and then she'd go, all right, who's going up first? And people were amazingly good at it.
Oh, yeah.
And you had no idea how much you could do with just like 15 minutes.
It's amazing,
like somebody just imposing that on you. Because in the past, you'd be like, I got to work this out. And then we got to rehearse.
For next week, right?
Yeah,
That's for next week.
Right. They go, no, 15 minutes. Go ahead.
I mean, it's not 15 minutes, but I wrote a weekly column for years, and people would ask me if I ever had writer's block. I was like, no, I had deadlines. Like,
you have the luxury of writer's block.
Nobody with deadlines has writer's block. Yeah.
No, it's a very interesting wiring that we're forgetting about,
anxiety.
which is nobody gets tired running from a bear.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just run.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
the anxiety kicks in when you don't know if it's going to be good, if anyone wants it.
Cynthia's like, and you'd go 15 minutes.
This
and
is
she'd
happening.
Go 14, and you're up first, and you'd go like, oh,
Arlie Ermy.
It's really hard to impose that on people. Like, it's going to happen. You got to do it.
And then, and people got up and like nailed it. Like a lot of people did.
Or they didn't, and they got over it.
Right.
Yeah.
Or they got over it. They got a little better.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yes. Writer's Lab. That's right. Sorry.
I feel like I have, yeah.
Well, I have a lot of thoughts about this, and I'm dying to hear yours. You're not a fan of the reboot. That's fine. I have something new to pitch you. A sadistic new reality show poses a predicament that would make any animal lover a little uncomfortable. The New York Post reports that Britain's Meat MEAT, Meet the Family, is asking carnivorous families to adopt and raise an animal as their own, really make them part of the team, and he might go to slaughter unless they pledge to stop eating meat for good. If they don't, they have to eat their pet. The program is challenging 4 families to treat this animal like a member of the family for 3 weeks. The first episode of Meet the Family is a lamb, a pig, a chicken, and a calf. In the end, they said they have to decide whether they cook their animal or send it to a sanctuary to live among other rescued livestock.
This is every farm for the history of humanity. This is every 4-H club.
Right.
Yeah.
Every farmer used to consider they had names for the animals they killed.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're soft.
I'm from Kansas. I get it. The
Yeah.
American Royal, the 4-H Club.
I'll tell you a show I'd be much more apt to watch called Pet in a Jet. We take your pet, we put in that giant air cannon, we spool up the 777 impeller blade.
Oh, wow.
We test. It's how they test bird strikes, you know what I mean? But we put Fifi in there, and then you have to answer trivia questions. If you don't get them right, we're going to hit the plunger, and the pneumatic cannon's just going to fire your schnauzer into the jet engine.
Wait, they don't test jet engines by throwing actual birds at it.
Like
Yeah.
chickens.
Like frozen turkeys.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't
Well,
know.
Pink mist.
Bird strikes are a big deal.
Yeah,
And
no, I know.
It's hard to take a sock and fill it with sawdust and go, this is
I thought that's what
a
they would
snow
do.
geese. You know, they go, we'll just use a snow goose.
Wow.
And I don't even know if they're frozen because
would make it
regular
different, yeah.
birds aren't frozen. See
I
what
imagine
Thought in the meat section.
I imagine if you can cut through the jet can cut through a frozen turkey, it certainly can cut through a raw turkey. Live
Oh
turkey.
no, I know,
guys know
but I
turkeys
think
don't
they're
fly,
I think
right?
they're trying to simulate.
WKRP.
Joel,
I
please.
think they're trying to simulate a bird as best they can.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's
the
dead
tougher the better.
chickens,
Dead
and they
chicken.
are thawed.
Yeah,
Oh.
because a frozen chicken is a project. I mean, that's a missile, man, and I don't know if the metallurgy is up to it, but it seems to me that they're trying to simulate what a bird would
Sure.
do, and that's what you do.
Yeah, either thawed or recently killed.
Okay, so
what
we
a weird job.
But instead, we do that with your medium-sized dog. And
With your cockapoo?
The contestants are found in the airport who have falsified their documents from their doctors online to say it was a
Nice.
service dog.
Nice.
And we bring them right on out, and
They think they're getting special treatment.
Yep, we put them on the podium, and they have questions.
And what kind of trivia? Just any trivia, or I feel like it should be.
Oh, like should it be? I think it'll be jet-related trivia. Like a nautical mile is how long compared to a mile on land. Go ahead.
Slightly longer.
Okay, good. It's correct. Sonic booms occur when?
At Mach 1 when you break the speed of the sound. It's a fun game.
The speed of sound is A, set at 711 miles an hour, B, fluctuates depending on altitude.
I don't know. I bet it fluctuates.
Oh, wait. Oh, I'm sorry. I hit the plunger.
Oh no.
Sorry. Would you watch it? I would watch the shit out of that show.
What are we calling it?
It's Pet in a Jet. And we now look, the first thing the A gap or whatever they call it, the beginning act 1 is us walking through the airport looking
Scoping out.
Yeah.
like there's a guy who's legitimately blind and he's got the handle on his dog. That's what we're talking about. We're talking
We should
about
question him just in case.
yeah. We're talking about
Can't be too careful.
the Beverly Hills chick that's had too much work done, and that dog and where
Dog
she
is a
got
beau.
the documentation,
Yep.
and then we suss it out, and then we walk her down to the tarmac, and we have her answer trivia.
I'm in.
You did.
I'm in.
All
That's
right.
the best pitch I've heard all day.
It's a green light.
And look, the engines need to be tested.
Oh, yeah. No, this
There's,
is
there's,
The
no,
greater
there's no
good.
doubt that the engines need to be tested, and we need to thin the herd a little at the airport with all the people walking around
And
with
look,
their dogs.
they're rescue dogs. They would have been put down anyway somewhere.
Good point.
And in terms of learning a lesson, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it sends a message.
Yeah.
You know,
To the
it
public.
just,
Wow.
if you're thinking about leaving the house and going to LAX with your dog with the paperwork you got from Mexico,
Yeah.
you may in
Yeah.
turn be a contestant on Pet in a Jet.
I bet you don't have to go to Mexico for that paperwork. I bet that's
You
coming
just
right
do
from
it
Beverly
online.
Hills doctors.
You're right. You're right. All right, we'll get Tide to sponsor it because we'll put like a white sheet up on the ass end of the jet.
I didn't know where you were going with that.
Maybe a little
Pet stains, and I don't mean pet stains. I mean pet stains.
Grab your Tide stick.
All right, Gina, one more.
All right. Well, a robber in England, they're just better over there, more polite. He demanded cash from a McDonald's cashier, and he was told he had to buy something before the cash register would open. So he ordered a cheeseburger and paid for it. 37-year-old Daniel Para Braun handed cash to the frightened server, then made off with about $170. He had burst into the fast food restaurant and placed a note on the counter that said, "I am armed. Give till cash, give register cash now." It was one of 4 times he struck in 12 hours. He's now in jail for 5 years, admitted to 2 other robberies. But he had to buy that burger or he wasn't going to get his money.
It's like you have to come in there with some capital to invest in your robbery, right?
Yeah, like
spend money to make
$1.70.
money.
Yeah.
$2 at least.
Don't you feel like we're at the point of automation where the person behind the counter can just go, "I can't open the cash register, like it won't let me do it," or you have to put your thumbprint on it or something? Like we're getting there. Like we were talking about robberies. There's going to be no more money rolling around.
Cash on hand.
Those restaurants that won't accept cash, which I think is really unfair to people who are poor. But there's a lot of them now.
Do people? You don't even hear. I mean, it's sad. You don't hear about people getting rolled or robbed in the street anymore. You hear about them getting hit in the head with a hammer by a homeless person, but you don't hear about, like, "Give me your wallet." Like, because it's a bunch of plastic in the wallet now, right?
There's
like,
no paper.
People used to get robbed all the time. Like, I don't feel like houses would get broken into. I mean, they get broken into. Maybe like cars got broken into and they stole your stereo.
Yes.
And that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
And
people got mugged.
Mugged.
Yeah, I don't feel like people get mugged anymore. And when they do, I think there's something suspicious they're not telling me.
Yeah, we should bring that back.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Amber Alert, where it's like, we're going to look out for the Toyota Camry that's silver and it's on the southbound, whatever. And it like turns out it's always bad divorce,
It's always a dad with a kid.
Custody issue. It's never that kind of van, a maniac, abduction.
Jump out of the bushes.
No one wants your kid.
No one wants your kid.
No.
I know. That's all those super sexy abductions are really just dads that didn't get their day in court and are pissed off and blah, blah, blah. All right, let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news. I'm my own man, and here's a great example of how I'm my own man.
Gina Grad. That was the news with Gina Grad.